Hello Internet, welcome to App Distraction. My name's Ashley, and this week on PlayStation Drops, Yakuza returns, Kingdom Hearts returns, and Resident Evil returns! But, as ever on this show, our weekly look ahead at upcoming PlayStation 4, PlayStation Vita, and new to the show this week, PlayStation VR games, we proceed in an alphabetical fashion. The first game this week is Earthlock, Festival of Magic, which is available PlayStation 4 Digital. Embark on a journey to save the beautiful world of Umbra, a harsh planet that stopped spinning thousands of cycles ago. What started as a mission to rescue Ammon's uncle from the clutches of an ancient cult soon spirals into an adventure centuries in the making. You must bring together this group of unlikely heroes to stop the ruinous past from repeating itself. So, Earthlock, Festival of Magic, as you can see, it's a role-playing game. The art style actually reminds me very much of Supergiant games. Of Bastion and Transistor fame, two great games if you've never checked them out. So the art style looks pretty cool. Apparently in an interview the developer said that they're very inspired by early Square Enix role-playing games, which is a massive tick to me. Loved the early Final Fantasies. So yeah, it looks quite interesting from a Norwegian company, which you don't see often, Norwegian developers, so wish them all the best with that one. They're certainly doing things that I like to see in video games. Enigmatic, The Ghosts of Maple Creek is another PlayStation 4 digital-only release. Imagine waking up after a powerful storm as the sun goes down. You find yourself just outside a small town on the side of the road. A shiver runs down your spine as your body remembers the recent dramatic events that your mind cannot or will not recall. Will you dare to solve the ages-old mystery of Maple Creek? This trailer initially looked interesting to me, grabbed my attention certainly, until you see towards the end that it is an adventure puzzle game, which isn't what I like to play when I'm gaming. And then dig a little deeper and you realise it's actually been out on PC for 5.5 years. So why it's come to PlayStation 4, I have no idea. I'm sure there wasn't much clamour for it, and if there was, it wouldn't take a developer 5.5 years to port it over. I'm sure there's updated graphics. I assume there must be updated graphics. I don't know. I've never played the original. Another case of games that don't need to be released on PlayStation 4 being released on PlayStation 4. Hunter's Legacy is another PlayStation 4 digital-only release. Hunter's Legacy is an old-school 2D single-player Metroidvania platformer where you control Ikki, a fierce kitty skilled with twin swords and a bow, better known as the Great Huntress of Amak. Ikki will use different mechanics like wall climbing, gliding through the air, and changing her body temperature to traverse puzzles and complete her quest. Firstly, no, your eyes are not deceiving you. They have interspersed random shots of kittens during this trailer. Obviously the lead character in the game is a cat, so there's that. 2D single player Metroidvania platformer. Not very original, but if done well, you can't really beat that style of game for me. Everybody loves a good Metroidvania game. Platformers, you have to pull off the physics of it to make it really great. You can't tell from the trailer one way or the other, but I'm sure if you pick this one up, you'd have a good time with it. Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, PlayStation 4 Digital and Retail. Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue continues 3 magical experiences, a full HD remaster of Dream Drop Distance, a new HD movie that tells the mysterious story of the Foretellers, and a brand new episode that links into Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 2.8 is a rather interesting numbering system they've got going on over at Square Enix on this one. I've never really been into the Kingdom Hearts games. Massive fan of Square Enix. This is one franchise that I've never really dipped into. This game is a remake of a 3DS game. A complete remake of Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance. Successor to Kingdom Hearts 2.5. To me, this doesn't need to be... This is not a game that, again, nobody was clamouring for this game. Obviously, massive fan base out there. Kingdom Hearts is a huge franchise. And I can understand why they've released it with Kingdom Hearts 3 set for some time in the future. They just want to keep people's toes in the water, which I can understand. Not one for me. I won't be playing this one. Lethal League, PlayStation 4, digital. Lethal League is a competitive projectile fighting game where you have to hit an anti-gravity ball into the face of your opponent to win. The ball speeds up with every strike, up to explosively extreme velocities. Play locally or battle it out online. I'm just going to repeat a line of that again. Lethal League is a competitive projectile fighting game where you have to hit an anti-gravity ball into the face of your opponent to win. What is not to love about that concept? You have to hit an anti-gravity ball into the face of your opponent to win. I mean, it looks frantic. It seems like it will be a hell of a lot of fun. While looking into this game, I come across a Destructoid quote when they reviewed the game, which I thought was fantastic, and I just thought I'd share with you guys. They describe it as, if Mario Tennis and Smash Bros had a baby and it was raised by European DJs who loved baseball. Now, I mean, that just sells me all the more. This one looks like a must-play game. Moto Racer 4, PlayStation 4. Digital and retail. In a world where freestyle and risk-taking dominate, impose your riding style all around the world. I feel there was one too many words in that sentence. Impress your opponents and win races with class. Moto Racer 4 is a racing game you can play on asphalt or dirt in single or multiplayer modes, with up to 10 players. Master drifting, wheelies, sharp turns and other techniques to earn a place on the podium. What to say about Moto Racer 4? I'm pretty sure if this is your bag and you're a fan of the Moto Racer franchise, then you'll be definitely looking to pick this one up. Can't say I'm a massive racing game fan, unless it's a truly excellent game, which I'm not sure this one is. And one interesting thing is that I'm pretty sure this was meant to be in development for PlayStation VR, but on the blog there's no mention of that. So I'm assuming they've sacked that one off. I know that this was meant to be released sometime last year and it's been delayed. Maybe VR had something to do with it, that's why. But looks a pretty simple racing game. If you like it, go and grab it. Pineview Drive, PlayStation 4, digital. An old abandoned mansion lies at the dead end of Pineview Drive. A troubled man is standing at its gates, looking over the property. 20 years ago he had visited this estate with his wife Linda. During their stay, his beloved vanished without a trace, her mysterious disappearance unresolved. Cross the threshold and confront the evil that envelops this cryptic cottage. Last week on PlayStation Drops, we featured a game called Joe's Diner, which I bestowed with the honour of having the world's worst trailer. That honour has now been taken from it, and it has been given to this game, as you can see. The description of the game, which I just read out, tells you absolutely nothing about it. This trailer tells you absolutely nothing about it. I've really got nothing about it to say. Despite that, I'm just going to let the trailer play through, so you can see it in all its quote-unquote glory. It's just terrible. Look at this. It's terrible. Look at it. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, PlayStation 4, PlayStation VR, digital and retail. Fear and isolation seep through the walls of an abandoned southern farmhouse. This marks a new beginning for survival horror with the isolated view of the visceral new first-person perspective. Powered by the RE engine, horror reaches incredible heights of immersion as players enter a terrifyingly new world of fear as they fight to survive. The long-awaited return of the Resident Evil franchise. 4.5 years after Resident Evil 6 released. This one takes the game back to its roots with a lot less combat, apparently, than the previous few Resident Evil games. Also compatible with PlayStation VR, which, let's face it, will be frankly terrifying. The game looks scary as hell. This trailer looks great. Can't wait to play it on my VR headset. Probably the first game that I've actually looked forward to playing in VR. So really excited about that. Also, of course, the first Resident Evil game to be played from a first-person perspective, which is interesting. Played the demo a little bit. Didn't want to play too much, to be honest with you. Didn't want to spoil the game too much, but apparently the demo that we played is not in the final game, so I might as well have just played through the whole thing. Interesting to read that it's the 27th entry into the Resident Evil franchise, which I just found that interesting and surprising. Subterrane, PlayStation 4 Digital. In Subterrane, you fill the shoes of Dr. West, the apparent lone survivor of MPO, an underground city on Mars. Do what you must to survive. Battle enemies, fight hunger and thirst, mend your wounds, and gather resources in a constant struggle to survive the catastrophe that's beset Mars. A top-down twin-stick shooter, or I assume a twin-stick shooter, doesn't actually specify on the PlayStation blog. If it is that, I mean, it must be, clearly. Worth mentioning, the PlayStation blog, primary job, certainly the drop on the PlayStation blog, a primary job is to sell these games, and it does just such a terrible job of doing that. It really doesn't describe them at all, which I suppose in part is down to the developer. They'll write the descriptions. I don't think it's actually the PlayStation blog's duty to write the descriptions, but either way, terribly done. This game looks bang average. I won't be playing it, despite my love of top-down twin-stick shooters. I assume it's a twin-stick shooter. Tales of Azaria, PlayStation 4, Digital and Retail. A tale of emotion versus reason. In Tales of Azaria, players embark on a journey of self-discovery as they assume the role of Velvet, a young woman whose once kind demeanour has been replaced and overcome with a festering anger and hatred after a traumatic experience 3 years prior. Can't really speak with too much authority on the Tales series. This is the latest Tales game, the 16th in the series. I think it's a bit Final Fantasy, where they're not sequels, they're all independent of each other. It's a Japanese role-playing game, of course. Always wanted to jump into the Tales games, but never have done, and I can't see this one being the one that grabs me in. There's just too many other games out at the minute that I need to play. Maybe in the future, if there's a bit of a lull in games, I can go back. This, I mean, it looks good. The trailer looks great, but I mean, again, it's, do you have 50, 60, 70 hours to sink into a JRPG? If you do, then I'm sure this one will be worth your money. The Turing Test, PlayStation 4 Digital. The Turing Test is a challenging first-person puzzle game set on Jupiter's moon, Europa. You are Ava Turing, an engineer for the International Space Agency, sent to discover the cause behind the disappearance of the ground crew stationed there. Upon arrival, a series of puzzles awaits you. These puzzles have apparently been set by the missing ground crew, but why have they created them, and what are they hiding from? That description really interests me. I don't know what it is about it. That really interests me. It makes me want to play the game to find out why they have set these puzzles. I'm not actually going to, so if anyone does play it, please let me know in the comments if it is any good. I really hate trailers that don't show you any gameplay at all. How are we supposed to judge whether we want to buy a game with no game? I understand graphics aren't everything, but you need to show some gameplay. In my opinion, anyway. You can't just wait for YouTubers to put Let's Plays up. YouTubers do 90% of all marketing for games these days, it seems, and it's not really good enough. Also, I'd be more likely to play this game if it was the actual Turing Test, as that's always interested me. And our final game this week, Yakuza Zero, PlayStation 4, Digital and Retail. The glitz, glamour and unbridled decadence of the 80s are back in Yakuza Zero. Fight like hell through Tokyo and Osaka with protagonist Kazuma Kiryu and a series regular Goru Majima. Play as Kazuma Kiryu and discover how he finds himself in a world of trouble when a simple debt collection goes wrong and his mark winds up murdered. Then, step into the shoes of Goru Majima and explore his normal, in inverted commas, life as the proprietor of a cabaret club. Yakuza is back, the Japanese Grand Theft Auto. Maybe a little unfair actually to christen it that it is its own successful franchise. I mean, you know what you're going to get with any Yakuza game. This one's no different. Looking into this game, one line that I read about it actually really interested me. It said the player can lose their money if they encounter a special enemy called Mr. Shakedown, huge men who are far stronger than normal. If the player is beating, they will lose all their cash. If they beat the enemy again to earn their money back. I mean, that sounds terrifying to me. I would certainly be on the lookout for them if I were to play this game. Again, it's another one. I don't really have the time this time of year to play it. But if you like Yakuza games, I'm sure you're sold anyway before even seeing the trailer. Also, the game is set in the 80s, which is clearly and unequivocally the best decade to set video games in. So that's a big bonus for it. Quick shout out to Firefighter 2017, the simulation. It's PlayStation 4 digital, also out this week. Couldn't find any video whatsoever on YouTube about this game. Watched the trailer on the PlayStation Store. It looks absolutely terrible. Yeah, not going to waste any more of your time with that one. My choice of the week, there is only one winner. Resident Evil 7. It's in virtual reality. Can you imagine how scary that's going to be? Resident Evil in virtual reality. So that's it for this week. Thank you for joining me on PlayStation Drops. As ever, please like, share, subscribe. You can find me on Twitter @AptDistraction. We'll see you next time.